Hi, I'm Emily and welcome back to News Bytes. This week's newsletter is called Transcendence and it's on John chapter 17. From Eliyahu. Shalom, friends. As a refugee from the baby boomer generation, I'm feeling very concerned for the millennial generation, born between 1981 and 1996, who are attempting to step into roles my generation is now largely retired or retiring from. Millennials have a lot to overcome, not the least of which are the negative stereotypes that many older people, often their bosses, have of them. Here's a list from the Psychology Today website piece, Why Are Millennials So Anxious and Unhappy? They're said to be entitled, shiftless, egocentric, hypersensitive to criticism, and unable to cope with the stresses of real life. But they're also said to be diverse, open with their emotions, deeply empathetic, and interested in making substantive, important changes in the world that they've grown into. The truth is, although no one can really agree about the millennial generation, one thing is fairly certain. They're stressed out. Up to 17% of them are depressed, and 14% suffer from anxiety. Millennials seek psychotherapy more often than numbers of Generation X or other earlier generation. Personally, I think judging individuals by labels is always a bad idea. And that includes millennials. Individuals vary greatly in every generation. Having said that, it is also manifestly true that each generation is faced with its own particular set of problems, with the general response to those problems often causing stereotypes to emerge. As Psychology Today points out above, a general response of many millennials is anxiety and unhappiness. Why are millennials so unhappy? Psychology Today says much of the anxiety and unhappiness of millennials is due to money problems. Today's young people face greater financial difficulties than previous generations. Almost 30% of millennials see themselves as less well off than they had expected to be 10 years ago. They're having trouble saving money too because of the 2008 recession, ballooning student loan debts, and the rising cost of living. Analysis paralysis is said to be an even bigger problem for millennials. In truth, decision-making itself may be the number one reason why millennials are so depressed and anxious, and why they feel the need for psychotherapy. Many of my millennial clients are, for the first time, facing big choices that are likely to have lifelong consequences, and that they feel profoundly uncertain about how they should make these decisions. But there are other facets of decision-related anxiety as well. Some young adults may find that they have too many choices and that trying to distinguish between their options is overwhelming. Others are seized by analysis paralysis, having difficulty seeing why one option is better than another, and feeling unable to make a choice at all. Why is analysis paralysis such a problem for millennials? This is how we are told they see it. At the age of 25, for instance, a young person is likely to confront most of life's big decisions in the next 10 to 15 years. Metaphorically speaking, people in this position see their lives as a series of rooms, each of which is lined with doors. Whenever they make a choice, they walk through one door, only to realize that all the others have closed. Then, as they see it, they find themselves in a smaller room surrounded by fewer doors than in the first. These doors, too, will all close when they walk through one. In fact, every door selected leads to a room that is smaller still, until ultimately the people making choices imagine finding themselves in a long hallway, stretching out ahead to the edge of vision with no doors and no choices left to make. With so many choices, how do you decide? I was frankly stunned by this answer from Psychology Today. Remember that good decision-making must be premised upon one's genuine beliefs and values, not worries, what-ifs, or hypotheticals stemming from anxiety. A computer needs existing parameters, an operating system, to function, and so do you. Making good decisions depends on genuine beliefs and values that you can rely upon as your guide and standard in decision-making. This is the real problem so many millennials are facing. Psychology Today suggests finding a good therapist to help with this. But frankly, I'm skeptical about that answer. Beliefs and values of therapists vary greatly and have changed radically over the years and will just keep changing in future years. So why would you adopt their values for yourself? For this, you need something with a solid history over centuries that is true and does not change. You need an OS from God. Problem is, the largely Bible-based standard that brought stability to much of society and earlier generations has been stacked so fiercely during the lifespan of millennials that it is no longer considered cool, so has largely been discarded. Yet, there is no solid replacement for it. The progressive ideology that claims to be the home of millennials is at best ever-changing and highly unreliable as a foundation to possibly make good life choices. In many cases, it has proven to be completely out of line with reality, so how can you make good choices based on that? Is it any wonder that making choices is so hard for a generation whose only real operating system has been ripped away from them? If you're a young person, please listen a minute to an old guy who cares about what you're going through. You don't have to be a millennial. You don't have to be defined by that. You can transcend that. And that's what I did. I transcended my own generation to end up in an even better place, a transcendent place that brought me to this very satisfying point in my life. I'm telling you, even after decades of experience, this worked. I always wanted more than money, fame, or prestige. I wanted real meaning based in reality. I wanted God, not religion, and trust me, there is a big difference between religion and God. I wanted God himself. I'm so happy to say that he found me years ago, and if you will let him, he'll find you too. He has all the answers, all the right choices, and he already has a future in mind for you that far transcends your highest and wildest dreams. You need an operating system you can rely upon. You need your creator to supply that for you. And here at Tsiyon, we have many people of all ages who have chosen the transcendent path of Yeshua Messiah. Spend some time with us, and if you will give him the time he deserves, you will see how young people and people of all ages are transcending their respective generation with this awesome truth that only he can give. This is as real as it gets. If we can help you on this road to reality, contact us from our website at tsiyon.org. That's tsiyon.org. And we will hook you up with someone who will really listen and who will point you to the no-nonsense answers. If you're one of our regular Tsiyon newsreaders, how about passing this message along to some deserving millennial that you care about? And you can also watch the video to consider what Yeshua Messiah prayed about for you and I in John chapter 17, Transcendence. So, I am counted as a millennial, and I have never liked that. And I think most people who are counted as millennials really don't like that either. I remember there was a time people would, complain about millennials all the time. It was very annoying. However, there is a lot of responses millennials have and an attitude there in response to what's happening to them that kind of does give rise to stereotypes, like he said. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about, as someone who's my age, what I experienced with God, okay? Because, like he said, looking to God for the answers to your problems is not really popular for people my age or, who are just disillusioned with the world already, It's very obvious the world is crashing and burning. And I think most people my age actually can agree with that. The news might paint whatever picture they want, but there's a lot of people my age who know the world is going down the toilet. It's no secret. And there's like this disillusionment with everything. Nothing's trustworthy. Nothing is based in the truth. And really all you can trust is yourself. That's kind of what it feels like sometimes. That's not true. I mean, I've already reached a point where I know that's not true, but I have felt that before, where no matter where you look, it doesn't matter. It all leads to nothing. That's just what it looks like. And when I was about 11 or 12, I went on a missions trip with my cousin's church. And that's kind of the first step I made in the direction of going to God. I mean, he was already coming to me. He planned this trip. But it was like the kind of first step, like the door that made me aware that I need God. I remember sitting at the end of the day in our praise and worship session, and the pastor started talking and saying, you need to hook up with Jesus. You need Jesus to save you. Your soul is going to be going to hell and damnation and whatnot. And, you need Jesus to fix you, to save you. And I was scared. I was scared witless. I cried, and I just really what I felt like was, oh yeah, I am a terrible person. I am going to hell. I better get Jesus. That was my logic. So I prayed with my aunt, and that was nice. It was a first step, but then after we prayed, it was over. And then what? There was nothing. Am I now supposed to read my Bible every day and act like a good person? Because no one said anything. No one said, well, now you can, they didn't talk about a relationship or anything, or progressing or getting to know God. And after that, we just went to bed and got up the next day, and we all did the same things. People were rude. It was hot there in Mexico. There was girls who were kind of mean. They were all nice people. But the point is, though, they were still all like the same people. And I didn't really feel a change or anything in me. I didn't feel anything. I didn't have any direction. I didn't know where to go from there. I was saved. And then there was nothing. And for years, it went like that. I tried to be a good person, but I kept falling short. And I kept trying to do it by myself, and that's religion. That is religion. And that leads to nowhere. It's empty, it's dead. And that's why you see so many people who are religious, whether they're in an institution or not, in church. There are people who are religious, and they really make everyone who actually loves God look bad. I'm sorry. Because they act really crappy sometimes. And even your brothers and sisters act crappy. But then they all kind of parrot the same talk of, yeah, I love God. God loves everybody. I read my Bible, whatever. It's so shallow. And I think a lot of people my age think that because it does look shallow. And people my age seem to miss the difference between religion and God. And trust me, there is a difference. Like E said, there is a difference. Okay? I was never interested in church. I got very disillusioned with religion. However, I didn't know what I want. I wanted something based in reality. I wanted truth. I wanted a reality check. I wanted something substantial because I felt so sick and tired of everything else that was just religious, just a facade, like a play. And I remember I came here to Tsiyon, and just the way that Eliyahu and his family walked and behaved made me see the difference. They weren't religious. They are normal people, and they have actual real love for other people. It wasn't like some facade. And they're not perfect. They're human too. We're all human. But there's a forgiveness and being real, being straightforward, cutting through any crap, no pretending, being a real person, and then overcoming our faults. It's a real walk. And when I saw that, when I came here, I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want. But I didn't know how to do it then either. And for a while, I still tried to go through religion and, try to just start behaving and copying their behavior that I saw and really want. I thought eventually it'll just come to me naturally, And it didn't. I actually felt like, God, why? I feel like I'm not progressing anywhere still, with you personally. Yeah, I have new friends that are great and, people who love you, but I feel like personally with you, I'm not progressing. And that was still religion. And I remember there was one night that was really on my mind, frustrating me. And I prayed to him, and he really showed me himself. And it was I'll never forget that night. I actually have a testimony about it. I'm pretty sure it's on one of our YouTube channels. I could go into it right now and start crying and everything. Totally, I could totally do that. This would last forever, probably. So I'll just link that to you. But my point I'm trying to get at is the difference between religion and truth. And here at Tsiyon Ministry, it's not religion, it's not an institution. It's verse by verse, Bible-based truth, and it's getting to know Yahweh's character. The purpose here is to find Yahweh's remnant, yes, but it's also to go through the scriptures, verse by verse, word by word, and know Yahweh's character, know what his motives are, his intentions, why He created us, what his purpose for us is, and seeing more of his love for us, and just getting to know his character and his character in you, and walking in that, not walking in the flesh, not walking in our generation or our age or anything, but as the individuals he made us to be, coming together to form his body in the earth. And I mean, I can tell you that all day, and I can read you this newsletter and any newsletter all day, but you have to come to that knowledge personally yourself, that you know God and you're walking with God, and it's a personal relationship. I mean, because God, I could talk forever about it, and you'll never know what I'm talking about unless you have that yourself. And if you do, great. I don't want to sound presumptuous, but we're always growing, whether you know him now or you don't. And now I'm starting to ramble. So I hope that made sense. And if it didn't, I'm sorry. But I guess what my main point is, as a millennial, yes, I understand everyone around my age, the world sucks. We're all disillusioned with it. But it's true, you do need God. You don't need religion, okay? Don't go to a church, please. Bypass that, all right? Don't even waste your time. Just seek God in your own time yourself. And if you need help, which, you know, I needed help. I mean, I think everyone kind of could get some more truth and food from a good teacher. Come to Tsiyon.org. You can listen to the radio for free on the website. You can listen free on the app. And we have teachings every hour. And that just kind of help you get to know the real Yahweh, you know, and grow your relationship with him and get to know the real God, not the religious God. So thank you for bearing with me. If you liked this video, hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And go ahead and watch the Transcendence video right here.